Thursday, never looking back. It's Friday, I'm in love. Monday, you can hold your head. Tuesday, Wednesday, stay in bed. Oh, Thursday, watch the walls instead. It's Friday, I'm in love. Saturday, wait. And Sunday always comes too late. But Friday, never hesitate. Dressed up to the eyes, it's a wonderful surprise to see your shoes and your spirits rise. Thrown out your frown and just smile at the sound. As sleek as a sheik spinning round and round. Always take a big bite, it's such a gorgeous sight to see you eat in the middle of the night. You can never get enough of this stuff. It's Friday, I'm in love. I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday, I'm in love. Monday, you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Thursday doesn't even start. It's Friday, I'm in love.
Hey friends, it's Joe Carroll. I'm honored to be with you guys today and excited to be with you today because I got a phone call from my buddy Warren a couple days ago, and he's telling me that he had done his own version of Friday I'm in Love by The Cure and wanted to know if I would be interested in mixing it. And of course the answer is yes, because what an iconic song. So plus I was anxious to hear Warren sing. You know, I don't know that I'd ever heard him sing. So that's gonna be fun. But that song goes all the way back to 1992. I thought it was from the 80s because it's just got that 80s sound. You know, lots of reverb. The drums are kind of pushed back. I don't know. It just has that sound. But I tried to copy it to a point, but not dead on. Just kind of have fun with it, and also listen to these tracks as recorded through a WAMPX from Warm Audio, and kind of develop a my own thoughts on that piece of gear. So let's listen to Warren Hewart's version of Friday I'm in Love. Okay, that was fun, and I'm a little out of breath because I have to. You have to dance when you hear something like that, don't you? So let's talk about it a little bit. Okay, so I looked at the studio where this was recorded and I think mixed as well over in England, and it was called The Manor. And they had, not too many years prior to the recording of this, I think, installed a 4000G that was largely, from what I could tell from the picture, largely outfitted with black knob 4000E EQs. So I thought, let's just use exclusively that on every instrument. Why not? That's the way they would have done it, and just throw in, some old school things like Neaves, for example, in front of the SSL on kick and snare, things like that. Some tools like 1176s and various things. Everything was recorded through the WA-MPX, except for one thing. I got to confess, because we're coming out of the 80s, I had to add that snare helper. How can you not lay that in there just a little bit, right? So here is the finished snare drum sound. Like I said, he had 2 channels only, so he recorded kick and snare and then overdubbed the overheads. Gave me a lot of isolation.
Hi everybody, hope you're doing marvelously well. We have the great Blair Sinter sitting in the other room, and we're going to do a wonderful cover today of Friday, I'm in Love, one of my favorite songs, the Cure song, of course. Absolutely superb. So what we have is the new Warm Audio WA2MPX. Now, we're thinking, because we're looking over here, that these are Ampex mic pre's. We have Ampex mic pre's, and they're from original tape machines, and they're very sought after. And that's what I think they've done here. I think they've cloned or copied, or whatever the right word is, some classic Ampex mic pre's. And they have that look. Really beautiful to look at. We've got Phantom here, so I'm going to turn on the Phantom. We've got 2 louder mics that we've got up on there, so we're turning on the Phantom. We've got selection between mic, line, and instrument. Obviously, preamp volume and output level, so you could drive it a little bit harder. It is tube, of course. Set both sides to mic. High gain, polarity, tone. Tone will be interesting. Oh, so I presume that's just turning on these things. Interesting. And then you've got 80 hertz high-pass filter. Tape saturation, interesting. If this is what I think they are, which is the Ampex tape machines, these would have been the mic preamps from the Ampex tape machine. So that tape saturation should be interesting. I'm assuming it's driving the tubes harder. I don't know. We're going to have a listen. So I'm going into an Audient ID44 over here. This is a $1,200-$1,300 unit, so it's not cheap, but for tube gear, it's relatively inexpensive. So let's just see. I don't want to clip my mic pre's, so I'm just going to push up. Just starting to hit the mic pre a bit too hard. It's nice. Really hitting this quite hard on the preamp gain. I've got I'm not doing anything clever. I'm leaving the tone down because that's what they recommend for, it's just an impedance selection for condensers. Up, they're recommending it for dynamics, so we'll just leave it down. Now let's do the same thing with the snare. Just starting to clip the input, my ID44, so bring that down. To me, you just want to abuse this a little bit and get it to sound great. Great. So we're not clipping the input of our ID44. We're driving the preamp a little harder, bringing the output down. I've got some high pass on here, just on the snare, only at 24. Put the 2 together. So I'm setting up here for the overheads. We're going to do this as a separate overdub. So we're doing kick and snare, and now we're going to get the overhead cymbals and hat, just so we get more control over it. We could have done 2 mics on the kit, but I love this song, and I want to make sure that we do it as well as possible. And we've only got 2 channels. So far, my feelings is that it's smooth on the top end, but not bright. It's warm on the low end, meaning there's some low end in there, but it's not overly. It doesn't feel like some tube stuff I've got, which I love, and really I need to hear the Ampex to really get a straight ahead comparison. When I hear the Ampex, it tends to have a little bit more, I wouldn't say hi-fi high end, but a lot sparklier high end. This seems super, super flat, not boosted at all. And I feel like to get the sound that I want, I'm going to EQ it. Now, that isn't necessarily a problem, but it does seem to be a reality. Okay, this might be where they win.
Here's the snare or the kick drum rather. Let me just bypass all the plugins and let's listen to the raw sound of the kick as recorded through. I'm not sure of the chain, as far as mics and all that, but I'm sure that's detailed. But here's the sound as recorded through the Warm Audio preamp. I like that. I like that knock sound, and I kind of like that resonance that it's got going on. So let's see what I did to make that work. There's no samples. You're hearing just the real drum. So a little bit of tape emulation here. A little bit of, well, actually probably a lot, it looks like on the top end. Some Neve flavor, which was a common thing not only back then, but still to this day. Use some Neve coloration on things that need to be big, like a kick and a snare. And then bring it up on the SSL channel strip on the console and doctor it up even a little bit more with that EQ. So here's what I did there. And then I did also use this gate to get rid of the snare backbeat in it. So here's before and after. I will try to make it active after a couple hits. Tighten it right up and made I think a great usable sound. Okay, so let's check out the snare. I'll do the same thing. Oh, I got the wrong channel highlighted. Okay, so here is the raw snare. It may have a little bit of reverb on it. I was doing a kind of thing to make it sound like it was recorded in a real room, but this is it. You will also see I do have some parallel treatment going on just for a little size enhancement, and that is part of it. So to get that to the finished sound, a little bit of tape again, a little bit of Neve, or on the high band it looks like a whole lot of Neve, and then the same trick of going through the SSL as well. And I was using the gate in the SSL, it appears, and then that was hitting a little bit of distressor. There's the settings on that. So same thing, I'll bypass them and then make them active. As I push play, I let a couple backbeats hit, and then I'll undo it. Okay, and then with I'm going to call it the helper. It just has that, I don't know, 80s radio thing going on. I couldn't help it. Warren, I'm so sorry. I had to lay that in there. It just sounds right. Let's go to a couple other items that I was really impressed with. So I'm gonna mute the treatment other than the Sound Radix alignment tool. I'm going to listen to the bass guitar.
So I've got Clark coming in on this side with the Acme DI, which is the James Jamerson one. Is freaking awesome. And on this side, we have a 421. So just soloed the bass. Let's have Mr. Clark Sims play some bass. Would you play some bass for us, please? So I'm going to bring the output down and hit it a little harder. Let's see what the saturation does. I don't want it on the DI. I want the DI to be cleaner. I'm going to use that for the low end because the Acme's got this massive transformer in it. And this has got a bunch of tubes. So this is going to be our clean low end. But I don't mind driving a little harder. It's nice. But then Clark's a very even player, so that helps. All right. So here's the bass amp side. This one I'm not going to be afraid to drive. So let's put the saturation on this and see how it fares. Both together.
Raw. Okay, I love that. I like a tube preamp, on basses sometimes. They're just full and meaty, right? So here's the DI. And here's that same passage on the amp. So what I did is I just used them both at equal power. We got that mid-range of the amp, and we have the bottom end and the attack of the DI. So put those together, and we should have a pretty great sound, which we do. Treatment-wise in the mix, all I did is I used a little of the black knob to add some bite at the top. Add some bottom end. It looks like around 100. Yep. And then I actually cut a little bit of 200. I thought it was just a little full right there. And then we went into the 1176 with the good old 10 and 2 settings on a bass guitar, just lightly hitting it. Just tighten it up just a little bit. Music of that era was not, it wasn't as compressed as what we do now. And maybe that's the reason why some of it still sounds so great. But also, I know it's 2023 and they didn't have this tool back then, but I felt like the bass guitar could use just a tiny bit of bottom end. And I set this around 80. So it would be above, slightly above the fundamental of the kick drum. And so those two could work together a little bit. And here's that together. All right. So the WAMPX would definitely be a choice for me on bass guitar. I definitely like it. Something else I really liked it on was the acoustics.
So I got my trusty Lewitt LCT 140 Air. I'm going to try the high gain. I've got the tone control on, which is really like boosting a lot of high mids, and then I've got high passing at 80. I like it. This guitar's a little boxy, that's kind of part of the sound.
So let me let you hear the raw recordings of the acoustic guitars. That to me, that's a great sound. Because one of the things I've noticed about the WAMPX, is because I have one, is that like a lot of tube gear that is either old or emulating something old, it has a really nice top end kind of dive. It's a little soft and rolls off a little bit, and you can use that to control some bright and harsh sources sometimes. And like acoustic guitars, there can be a lot of top end. So what I did is I brought in just a little bit of tape here, Phoenix, and then I brought in the SSL 4000, and you'll see that I added quite a bit of top end, but on a 4000, the top end is very, very soft. So you can really get pretty crazy with that knob at 8K and above and be surprised at how much you need to turn it to get the high end you're looking for. So 6 dB at, it looks like around 12K is not as radical as it would be, like, let's say on a Neve or something like that. Let me show you one other little trick. You hear some of that spiky stuff on the acoustic guitar. If you EQ into the compressor on an SSL and go into fast attack mode with a fast release, you can use that as a little bit as a limiter. See, when he's really hammering right there, I'm getting about 3 dB of compression, fast attack compression, which on this piece is like 1 millisecond. So that's basically a limiter. And there was I felt the need to trim just a couple extra spikes. So I brought in the old classic L1 here, and you can see it's barely hitting it, just here and there, 1.7 dB total. So the finished sound is... That's a great sound. Let's listen to those two iconic guitar sounds that just to me make up the sound of this record.
Follow me. We are going to the live room. All right, so we decided. Here's the live room. We tried lots of different amps. Tried the Pro Junior, which I love. Actually started off with the Roadie, which is phenomenal. But we wanted the tiniest small amount of drive. So we ended up using, believe it or not, an Angle. And that is the clean channel with the bright in, just pushed. It only just starts to break up when it's pushed that hard. Bass is down a little bit, mid up a little bit, treble up a little bit. Presence doesn't work on this channel. And that's it. So it's just a thicker sounding amp. It had just a little bit more low end on it. There's something about some of these metal amps on the clean channel. They're fat. They've got some really nice low mids that just kind of makes the guitars seem thicker. So we're using the Electro-Harmonix Clone Theory, which of course was a favorite of Joy Division and New Order. That was Peter Hook's sound. We've got the Rupert Neve DI, and we've got an MXR carbon copy. For a guitar, we couldn't quite figure out. It didn't sound as thin as a Telecaster or a Strat single coil. So we went with, I suppose, probably like P90s or P100s. And that's the Iconic. We've been using this on a couple of videos recently. Really, really nice guitar. Okay, so now we're going to have Eddie play. We've got the DI going through one channel and amp through the other. So I'm going to hit the high gain. Just run it a little bit hotter. Hit the tape saturation. Can you play single notes? Don't need that, but I'm going to keep the tape saturation. Can high pass it up to 90 Hertz, not going to be a problem. Of tube saturation out of it just to round off some of those transients.
In addition to the lyrics, I really think of these two overlapping kind of counter, both of them have some melodic ideas going on and they swimming around, and it's just, to me, this is the sound of this song. Okay, to me, that's a great guitar sound, and let me tell you why. So we're controlling the top end, right? Sometimes on electric guitars, now this was going through the amp, you don't really want it, but there can be some stuff, in the 10K and up range that's just kind of a little bit of a whatever. So, and some preamps hype that, and some preamps kind of tame it. WAMPX obviously does a good job of kind of topping that, and chopping that stuff off, and it's not really there to fight. So even when I come in and add, looks like I added 4 or 5 dB of 5K, 4.7K. It didn't get out of control. But a lot of times what I do on electric guitars is I low pass. So here you can see about 12K. I was low passing both of these guys. So this is the sound with all the business. I'm not even sure what all I had going on, but let's listen. And they're tucked in just a little bit. You can see they're panned, they're not hard panned, so they're inside of the acoustics. Let me play them together. So they all have their space. Okay, now let's go to something else. Let's talk about Warren's vocal. How can we not? It's Warren.
So I thought I would pair up the Warm 2 MPX with the Lewitt mic, the 1040, because that's tube and FET. So I'm actually on the FET at the moment. It's pretty clean. I'm not going to use any compression going in. We're just going to use whatever the tube does for this. So I've got it set on the FET, so I'm not getting any additional tube sound, as it were. 1 2 2 2 1 1. I've got the output level pulled back ever so slightly, and 1 2 2 2. Let's go to tube on the on here. 1, 2, 2. Oh, it's dark as well. Sounds like the dark setting on Tube. So I'm going to go clear. So now I've set that, so it should be pretty flat. Okay, I like what it's doing. I don't think the saturation will work on my voice unless I'm doing something specific. Here's tape saturation. Yeah, baby. I mean, that's good for something else other than this. Maybe if I was doing like a, I don't know, yeah. And I was trying to blues it up a bit. I know that was not very good. But I'm not a blues singer. I wish I could. That's a whole different skill set. I love playing blues guitar, but I'm certainly not a blues singer. So I'm going to leave it pretty flat. I've got the tone in, so let's take the tone off. 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2. Oh, I can hear the tone quite dramatically on my voice. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. That's pushing the high mids, isn't it? 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. It's actually kind of giving them a little bit of bite. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. See if I can emulate it by just pushing this harder. 1, 2, 2, 2. Actually, I like that off. I'm going to leave it off. Put it back on. 1, 2, 2. Yeah, it's getting a little bit of grit in there, which is going to be nice for like guitars to add a little bit of extra grit, and probably for some vocals. But for mine, I'm going to go and keep it pretty clean. Lovely. There you go. Oh, I got the high gain here, which is going to be too much. I think I think if we could put on the high pass, which is not going to hurt. This room's pretty quiet. We don't have air conditioning noises like we had in the last one. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. But you know what? Let's just put it on anyway. So I'm high passing it. No tape saturation. No high gain. And nothing else. So I'm going to keep it pretty clean. 1, 2, 2, 1, 1. And no tone control for pushed mids. But I did like that. But probably not on this song.
And let me bypass all the plugins on that channel so we can hear him raw. And a little parallel compression I had going on. Let's actually bypass all the effects too, because I'm not even sure what effects I had going. But here's his voice raw.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey, and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you. It's Friday. I'm in love.
Okay, a little on the dark side. So we're really kind of finding the character of this preamp. And again, let's just say it, the top end is soft. Now on his voice, that sounds a little dark, so we're gonna have to brighten it up to make the mix. But as a tool, when thinking about that nature, if you have this piece in your studio, which I do, I'm finding that I'm using it on things that I want to soften the top end. Let's say Warren, instead of having that baritone voice that he's got, what if he had a high shrill voice with a lot of in there, or a female voice that was really high and had sibilance problems, real spitty S's. You can go into a preamp like this that has that soft top end and control some of that stuff to where you're, when you get to the mix, you're not fighting it quite so hard. But let's talk about what we did to make him sound great. Because it's dark, I'm needing to cut a lot of that, some of that bottom end. So I'm using the McDSP multiband here, and from 280 down, you see it's tucking just a little.
I don't care if Monday's blue.
That's helping a lot right out of the gate. But it's only when needed. So if he's up in the higher register, it's not doing that. And then a little EQ here, little compression. We're EQing prior to compression. And it's the MV2, which is something that Warren loves. So let's take a listen.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey, and Wednesday too.
On its own, that's not bad at all. But what I like to do sometimes on more rocky things that's got a busy track is come in with something aggressive like a 76 or a distressor. And the reason I chose this is because this warmth knob here, it kind of acts as a little bit of a preliminary de-esser. It's not a de-esser, but it softens the S's somehow, and I really like what it does. So here's the EQ into those two compressors.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey, and Wednesday too.
Okay, and then it needed a little de-essing, so we got that in the DE555, and then a little bit of mid-range control. I felt like it was a little nasally here and there, probably because of how much low end I had scooped out of it, and this is what that is knocking down, just a touch of.
I don't care if Monday's blue.
Just a couple dB here and there, and this is what it sounds like after.
I don't care if Monday's blue.
Now let's put all our stuff back on, and including the parallel compression track that I had going on, his doubles and his harmonies. And let's just kind of listen to that. All these fun, late 80s, early 90s effects bouncing around like they had. Let's check it out.
Monday you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday break my heart. Oh, Thursday doesn't even start. It's Friday, I'm in love. Saturday, wait. And Sunday always comes too late.
So it's definitely rich. I mean, we can tell that we used a tube preamplifier and the tube is doing its thing. It's harmonically rich. It's fat. It's full. I love it. We obviously need to add some top end because of the nature of Warren's voice, but it's a great sound. There's just no denying that. So I had a lot of fun. Warren, thank you for allowing me to give this thing a go, and happy mixing, everyone.